Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free or join today at AAA.com/Commanders. Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to John Keim Report wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. And for you club members, you gold members, I'll be doing a private Zoom at 7:30 Thursday night. That's when we're going to do it this week. Can't do it Friday. Anyway, so do it 7:30 Thursday night. Join me there. And then I'll begin for all the club members. I'll be doing the private chat about 3 hours before kickoff on Sunday before the Lions game and before another game. There's 8 left, folks. Hang in there. Anyways, today I'm just going to give you some midweek report. Got a few things going on here and wanted to discuss. So we'll get to that. And don't forget, I'll be doing my 5 thoughts again Friday night, Saturday morning on video. And one of the things I talked to is Keim Madrano. Wanted to kind of get an update on him to see what's going on with him. And I think you'll enjoy that. So that will be one of the 5 thoughts on Friday. And then I'm also going to address what Kurt Warner talked about with Jayden Daniels, because I want to being able to listen to some of what Kurt Warner said, certainly respect what he has to say. And then I kind of talked to some other people just to get their thoughts on all that. But like Kurt Warner is a very smart guy. So anyways, doesn't mean that, anyway, we'll talk about that on Friday, but I just want to get there. So one thing I do want to start with Jayden Daniels and get like more of a health update here and just some other stuff. There isn't really much of an update because, as Dan Quinn said, they're still getting options. Folks, the good news for him is that he was not placed on IR. I have not heard the word surgery yet, and I don't know if that will come after some more discussion with other options, but I have not heard that yet. Those are all good signs. Now, what does it mean for the rest of the season? Like, I don't see him coming back at this point, but perhaps, and I don't know, like now we're going to get into hypotheticals. If they're completely out of it, why would you bring him back? And I can almost guarantee that wouldn't happen just based on logic and knowing like what happened the other night in a blowout. I don't know why you'd bring them back if they're 3-12 and only have a few games left. But what if what if the weirdest stuff happens? They beat the Lions, they beat the Dolphins. Now you look, hey, you never know. So anyways, but bottom line is he's still here. I mean, and there's no IR, which again is a good sign for, not necessarily for this year, but for him, it's a good sign. So that's all good. My understanding is he's in very good spirits. The one thing I know about him, like the mentality that he has after bad plays, bad games, is the same approach he's going to take after a tough injury, another tough injury. It's been a very tough year. A guy who can handle it is Jayden Daniels because of the way he approaches things. Shoot, after last year, when he had this great year, when he got back to work with guys like, with Taylor Kelly, with his Ryan Porter, his quarterback coaches, they all said the same thing. It was like he was coming off a 4-13 season. Well, this year, kind of what they might be coming off of. But the bottom line is his approach will not change. And it's not like he got all fat and happy after this year. And it's injuries. And it's injuries to him. It's injuries to others. So I think he will be okay coming off this year because it's just how he's wired. And I think that's a good thing. And I think, we'll get into their offseason stuff and how the team and the organization can respond or should respond to this year. But I do think like all this for him, he will use it as major fuel. And he's somebody who works hard anyways. I don't know that it's going to change how hard he works because I think he already works that hard and he's that focused, but it's the mentality that he had that coming off all that stuff that if you put money on someone to rebound after this year, I think it'd be Jayden Daniels. So there you go with that. And again, I'll talk about like the Kurt Warner assessment of him on Friday. All right. Another thought here, another aspect to talk about here is Frankie Luvu. As I'm sure you know, he was fined and originally suspended for a third hip drop tackle violation that he appealed the ruling and he won the appeal. He was still fined $100,000, but he will not be suspended for Sunday's game against the Lions. That's good news for him, for the defense. Got to play better, even with him. They got to play a lot better. but at least like you don't want to see him without him, although it would have given others more of a chance. For sure, Jordan McGee would have gone in there and played, but like since they're using 3 linebackers a lot more anyways. So, but it's good for him. And I think the hard part here is for him, and I'm going to play this sound in a minute, like it's hard trying to figure out what is a hip drop tackle. Like the one he got called for against the Seahawks, I'm not as well versed in what exactly it is because I've seen times where it looks like Jayden Daniels gets tackled like that and nothing is called. So, and with the one against Jackson Smith and Jigba, where Luvu was fined for, I don't see it there. Other times you can say, okay, I get that, but in that case, I don't. And again, I've seen other times with Daniels where it looks like, is that a hip drop tackle? Because it kind of looks like it, and you see someone not fined or penalized for it. So I don't know. But the good thing for him is that he wasn't penalized. But here are a few things that he had to say about it and how he's not going to change his style, nor should he. And by the way, I'll get to that in a minute. But it almost reminds me a little bit of the Brandon Merriweather situation several years ago, many years ago, where he would get fined all the time for his hits. And whether it's targeting or whatever, sportsman conduct penalties. And he just got confused after a while. And he also thought after a while, like any sort of, if it was close, he was going to get fined, or suspended, whereas others might not. Now, that was his assessment. And then so, but he certainly felt like he was being targeted for this. And that's something that Luvu talked about as well. But the one thing he's not going to do is change his style. Here's what he had to say.
When you get that word that you are eligible to play?
Man, just a relief, you know what I mean? Weight off my shoulders. I always try to play the game the right way. That's how, when I stepped into the league, Coach Kevin Green taught me how to play the game. I know the rule has changed drastically over the years, but, I'm just, all my intentions, man, I ain't never trying to step out on the field and trying to hurt somebody. That's never my intentions. And, I'm not the person where I'm like, I wake up on Sunday mornings like, man, I can't wait to go out there and hurt somebody. That's far from what, my intentions are, man. I respect my peers. I respect my players. I respect the game and what it's done for me, and also, like, my reputation, you know what I mean? Like, 8th year in the league, man, it's a blessing. It's a milestone for me, and, I just try to do the right thing the right way, you know what I mean? I try to approach the game violently. That's how I play the game. I play it aggressive, violently, and, what we preach here is, as a defense, man, we want people aggressive, violently, and also doing the right thing and not going out there and, hurting somebody. And, I'm just happy everything played out the way it played out, and I'm just happy to be back with the guys, man, and having the chance to play this week, you know what I mean? And,
do you think you guys have as players, do you feel like you have a clear understanding of what hip drop is and what they're looking for on those, since it's really penalizing games?
That's a question, I'm trying to ask myself and ask them, you know what I mean? What is it? And it's frustrating for me sometimes to look at it, all the plays that they seen it at, and to see what they're looking at and to see what is a hip drop. I feel like, they're still trying to figure out what is a hip drop, and that's out of my control, you know what I mean? I just worry about making my tackles and, helping my team. But as far as the rule and evaluation on all that, I don't.
Are you able to get feedback when you do get the fine letters? Like, are you able to reach back out to the league and be like, can you explain?
Hopefully, moving forward, we set up something where I can sit down and talk to them and, just kind of chop it up. What are you guys looking at? What ways that I can work myself better at? Also, like, on the practice field. And so, like, anytime I'm heading on game day, like, obviously they got a target on my back, you know what I mean? I'm under a microscope, I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better at it every day.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like you're almost being picked on a little bit with this?
I don't know what it is, you know what I mean? Like, I go out there every Sunday trying to play and help my team win. That's like the main goal for me. But I feel like that's the feeling I feel like I'm under a microscope. On my part, what I can control is just go out there and make my tackles and and not making it seem and leave it up to their hands where it's, it's another fine or it's another thing where I'm trying to appeal, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
You mentioned you like to play physical, you like to
Yeah.
play fast. So does this impact of how you maybe approach the game or how you try to tackle during game now?
No, it don't change nothing on what I bring to the table. Like, I'm going to still play my game. I'm going to still play fast. I'm going to be aggressive and be physical. Like, that's what we preach. And that's what got me this far, you know what I mean? And I'm going to leave it up to the league to, figure out what they see in the plays that I make. And like I said, I play it one way, and that's the only way I know how to play. And that's fast, physical, and downhill.
You mentioned your reputation.
Yeah.
Something like this, does that concern you? Like, it hurts your reputation in a sense?
I mean, man, I do, because everything I work for is kind of out there. You know what I mean? It's publicly out there, and like, to me and to all my families, and like they're seeing that. You know what I mean? And also my peers is looking towards me and kind of like, oh, we don't respect Frankie Luvu because he's a dirty, and all those lines or whatever it may, the headline.
Right, people thinking you're a dirty player.
Yeah, the headlines may be, but you know what I mean? My teammates know who I am. The people that know me and the people that know around me know who I am as a player, as a person. And none of my intentions are trying to get out there and trying to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? And I try to play the right game, the right way, and I control what I can control. You know what I mean? I can control what other people think about it. And whoever leaves it up to their hands to make a decision if I got to play or not play.
Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Commanders MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive team events and experiences, along with 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive. Folks, this is the wallet I had before Ridge. If you ever seen the show Seinfeld, you know George Costanza's wallet. When this was full, it kind of gave Costanza a run for its money. It could have doubled as a phone book, wasn't good for my back at all. Now, here's my wallet. A sleek new wallet from Ridge. It's a slim, modern design that can hold up to 12 cards plus cash, made with premium materials. All Ridge products have a lifetime warranty. You want one with the Commanders logo? You can get it. But Ridge is more than just wallets. This is one of my favorite toys. It's a magnetic wireless charger that is terrific. They have key cases where the keys fold inside. No matter the product, Ridge offers free shipping and a 99-day risk-free trial. For limited time, our listeners get 10% off at Ridge by using the code Keim, K-E-I-M, at checkout. Head to ridge.com, use the code Keim, and you're all set. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Once again, 10% off at Ridge using the code Keim. Go to ridge.com, use the code Keim at checkout. You're all set. And then after that, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Support the show. Let them know that we sent you. All right, so let's get to the cornerback situation too, because that's another thing that was addressed today by Dan Quinn. And Mikey Sainristil, he's going to be a primary topic because with Marshawn Lattimore going to IR, and by the way, they also put Luke McCaffrey on IR. I'm sure you saw them. They promoted Trey Burks, going to be on the active roster. I think he's earned that. I like you. I'd like to see more of him and see what he does. And then Sheldon Day also came up too. He's a guy that they've always really liked as a glue guy, et cetera. But with Lattimore going on IR now, so my concern with this group all along was if something happens to Lattimore, and something often has, that who is the true outside corner? Because now, because you had a few guys whose best work to date or who were thought to be better inside, whether it's Sainristil, Jonathan Jones, and then Noah Igbenogany. Now, they definitely feel that Jones and Sainristil can play both inside and outside. We saw that last year with Sainristil. Drafted to play inside, they still viewed him as better inside. That's why they went out and got Trey Amos and wanted Sainristil inside. So, I know some people wonder, because I've said that a number of times, it's how they have reacted. This is how their actions suggest he's better inside, because that's why they put him in there. And it's why they drafted Amos, and it's why they went out and got Lattimore, because they knew. Now, having said that, as Quinn said, he's been up and down this year. We know that. In fact, let me read you a little bit of what Dan Quinn had to say about about Sainristil and just the kind of year he's had. And it was a long quote. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it was kind of long, but um, it was he said there's been up and down moments, and the up, as he said, meaning the playmaking, the interceptions that he saw in LA in the last couple of weeks, the ball hockey mindset, which I love. He said, Quinn said, there's also been a couple plays of over trying to make those plays, and that's part of the process. You don't like to go through that, but when you're capable of making plays, you basically, he said, you think I'll make some more and I'll make a few more, and then all of a sudden that's not the one you need to take a chance on. So that's something that he talked about a lot about. And I will say, like, where I definitely agree with Quinn is you want a guy with that mindset, because there are other guys who do not have a playmaking mindset. Therefore, they don't make plays. I remember talking to Steve Jackson way back in the day. He was a defensive backs coach here in the early, during the Gibbs era and after. He was here with Greg Williams. He stayed here after Gibbs and Williams left for several years, still coached the league. But I remember what we had a conversation at the time where when he coached, certain guys, and he said, like, some guys just have that mentality. Some guys, they just go make plays. Other guys will come back and say, oh, coach, I saw this. And if I see it again, I didn't break this time, but I see it again, I'm going to break and do this. And he said, and they don't do it the next time because they don't have the mindset. Sainristil has the mindset. So you really have to curb some of that, maybe cut a little bit of that out, not a whole lot, but maybe a little bit to stop the over trying. And I don't know that that's necessarily been I don't know how often it's really been the issue, but if that is, like, you'd rather have a guy with that mindset because it's a little bit easier to get him to understand, kind of like Daniels with the scramble, like, great scrambler looking to make big plays, but eventually you learn when you need to make those to keep yourself free from more harm. I will say, like, in both cases, you're not going to lose the whole thing. Like, there's nobody's ever going to be perfect with their scrambles. Nobody is. You're going to get hit in this game, and you're going to give up plays in this game. So that's always going to be the case. But with Sainristil, the funny thing is, again, I told you the other day, he gave up a touchdown from that slot stuff down the seam. I do believe he was expecting some safety help over the top. Now, there was something that took the safety out of the play, but I think there was also a coverage misunderstanding, I would say, on the play overall. But he was expecting that, and so you play a certain way if you're anticipating somebody over the top. So, anyways, so I know he kind of got pinged for that, but that's what I'd heard happen on that play. So, but again, like, is he better outside? We will now find out, because it'll either be he or Jonathan Jones outside. And the other thing they like is Noah Benogany inside. So, we'll see how they configure this. The other factor here is Trey Amos dealing with the hip injury now. In practice today, Amos was wearing a black jersey signifying no contact, but he was out there practicing. So, and Krosky Merritt was out there in a black no contact jersey. He was out there practicing, but he had dental work, and he was going to the dentist after practice today. So whatever, not sure exactly what it is. You don't know that yet, but that's why he had the black jersey on as well. So, but with Sainristil, again, I've always said he's better inside. Again, that's their actions tell you the same thing. But like you, I'm curious to see, what does he do outside? Now, there were times last year where I think people forgot you're going to remember the good stuff. You don't remember the bad. And I think there were definitely times, whereas somebody here told me, like, a couple times he got roasted, but you know what? We've seen that as well. So, what I've always liked with Sainristil is just, again, mindset. And I like his mindset, and just, he's an intense competitor. He's a guy you like to have on your roster. Like, I like guys like him. I like guys like McCaffrey. Like, they're good players to have on your roster, because I just think when you get those kind of competitors, they're really good. Now, you want to see what kind of play does he have down the stretch. Like, there are going to be some guys that you're really looking at down the stretch, and I'll talk about this in future podcasts. Like, who are guys to really watch, because I think their progress is key to the future here. And I think if Sainristil goes out there and has a really good finish, you feel really good about that. What if he goes out there, and I would still say you'd want to get another big corner outside, because the way this defense is, one of the things they liked about Lattimore a lot was the physical play, the quote unquote dog mindset that they didn't feel like the others in the secondary had. And that physical play, and definitely helped, that they felt definitely helped. So my point in saying that is, I do think they would probably want another bigger corner out there. But what does Mikey do when he's out there? Like, and is he will he be better out there, maybe more consistent out there than he was inside? It is hard to play inside. It is hard to be really good inside because there's way more to learn or to know inside. And you can cut down, like in the outside, you cut down route combinations, you cut down like what kind of routes can they run out there. Inside, it's almost like the world's your oyster. So you've got everything available to you, and then you also have to defend the run inside there. So it's a really hard spot to learn, which lends itself to some inconsistency when you're a young player. So I think, we'll see. I know every time I bring up his size, people say, Darrell Green. He's not Darrell Green. He doesn't have that speed, doesn't have that quickness. Very few do. It's why Green is in the Hall of Fame. That's why, right? He's a different dude. But can he be effective out there? We're going to find out. And they're going to play some really good receivers on Sunday, and they'll play some really, he'll get Waddle, he'll get some, he'll get a few weeks. This team has Jefferson and Addison in Minnesota, and that's going to be interesting. But again, a lot of tests to see where they are with this, and to see like how high does cornerback have to be on the offseason list, and we're going to see based on how this season unfolds from here.
Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Commanders MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive team events and experiences, along with 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
That's going to be something to definitely watch. And then the other one that, and I'll get into this later, but with Josh Connolly. Connolly talked today, and the one of the things that I appreciate with him, and I think that this matters, is the mindset and the confidence and belief in yourself. The kid just turned 21. So keep that in mind when you're watching him play. He is not a finished product. He is not, I wouldn't say not close to a finished product, but he's still got work to do. So what you're seeing should not be who he is down the road. Now, I don't know where he's going to get to, but the mindset and the approach is the proper one to have to help get you there. So I also think, and I was talking to him a little bit, one of the things, I think he's tough-minded, and that helps. But I think the other thing is there's an adjustment with how you think and how you approach your job. And I talked a lot about him on my 5 thoughts. If you didn't hear it, go back and listen to it. I talked to Bobby Johnson, the line coach, about him. And so I think there's some stuff you can pick up on that. But I think the other thing is that he considers himself a technician. So when he came in the league, he thought, like, that's my strength. I've got to be a great technician right away. Well, when you try to be that right away, what he felt like he was doing was thinking too much. And when you think too much at that position, you're going to give up stuff, because you're not, if you watch, like, you could see that, like, you're thinking, now you're reaching with your hands, not your feet. And like that, those are things that happen. He's getting better with that in that area for sure. Now he's got a really tough matchup Sunday with Aiden Hutchinson, and Hutchinson rushes a lot from that side. Going to be a great test for him, and to see where is the progress, how much progress has been made over the last several weeks and from the start of the season. But that's the one thing he talked about, is the technician aspect, and that he felt he was trying to be too much of a technician, and it prevented him from just reacting and playing. But he also knows, like, he's not the biggest, strongest, most athletic tackle. He is a good athlete, though. That I think he sells himself a little bit short there, but I think he views himself as, how do you have to succeed? It's by being a technician, and that's going to take some time in the NFL. But when you get there, I still think, like, give him some time, because I again don't know what the finished product's going to be like, and we may be a year or two from seeing when he gets to a certain level, right? You can be better next year for sure. You can be better down the stretch. You can be better next year. And then the year after that, you can be much better. So there's a ways to go with him, but I think there's a good base there, and it starts with the mentality. I think there's, and just the way he works. And you see him talking a lot to Tunsil, and I think that's a good thing as well. So anyways, wanted to pass it along. Finally, the last thing is, as like Joe Whitt moving down from the press box to the field. Nobody's going from the field to the coach's booth. I shouldn't say press box, to the coach's booth. Nobody's going up there in place of him, but it's all about, to me, this is like, and I talked about this the other day, but this is, you're trying something different because nothing has worked. I don't know what, will this provide a much different Outcome, I don't know, because again, you heard me talk about the run fits have been way too undisciplined. I don't know that this changed it. Could it help with coverages? Perhaps, because there are definitely some times where you like, it certainly seems like corners are, some of the DBs are doing this, some are playing this, one's doing this, four are doing that. So like, could that clean it up? Sure, perhaps. And I think just being down there, feeling the flow of the game, talking to players directly, maybe that helps. Is it going to lead to a dramatic turnaround? That's really hard to see. So like, just, I don't think you can sell that. Like, they have to play better. They've got it. I think I'll get into the 5 thoughts. I'll get into all this in the 5 thoughts about what they have to do. There's a path where they can at least impact Detroit's offense, but is it a path where they can do it for the full game? I think that's going to be asking quite a bit, but we'll get into all that on the 5 thoughts. So anyways, folks, that's all I got. Just wanted to give you those updates and kind of address some of those topics. And I'll be back on Friday with my 5 thoughts, Friday night with the audio, Saturday morning with the video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you next time.